He was tired. Dust on his boots, sweat clinging to his back, and just 12 credits left in his pocket. Jake wandered through the Taka outpost, a junk market built from rusted ships and alien bones. Traders yelled in every language. One booth sold fried tentacles. Another had glowing eyes in jars. And then, he saw it. A busted helmet. Old. Cracked. Black metal with purple veins running through it like a spider's web. It didn't shine. It didn't blink. It just sat there. Forgotten. Jake pointed. How much for the helmet? The seller laughed. His teeth were sharp. For you, Earthman? 9 credits. And a warning, no refunds when the voices start. Jake shrugged. I've dated worse. He paid. Tucked it into his bag. Felt a strange warmth on his back, like something had just noticed him. That night, he made camp outside the walls. Small fire. Old canned food. He leaned against a rock and pulled the helmet out. Dusty. Cold now. Then, it whispered. Just one word. Chosen. Jake froze. Looked around. No one. No wind. Just the helmet, pulsing softly with a deep purple light. He stared. I've had hallucinations before, he muttered. But they never glowed. Suddenly, something moved in the dark. He stood fast, hand on his tool blade. But what stepped into the firelight was not a threat. She was impossible. Tall. Elegant. Skin the color of a violet nebula. Hair like silver threads. Eyes glowing gold. And she wore almost nothing. Just bronze cloth wrapped around curves that defied gravity, metal lines tracing along her hips and chest. She looked like a warrior from some ancient alien dream. She didn't walk, she floated, her bare feet barely touching the ground. She looked at him like she already knew his blood type and favorite sin. Jake blinked. I'm either dreaming or dead. She tilted her head. You carry the relic. He held up the helmet. This thing? I got it for 9 credits. She stepped closer. Firelight kissed her thighs. You touched it, it responded. She knelt before him, eyes locked on his. Jake's voice cracked. Lady. I think you dropped your standards. She smiled, slowly. You are now the bonded wielder, and I am yours to protect. Protect? He asked. From what? She looked over her shoulder, eyes narrowing. From those who will kill you before you realize what you've inherited. Jake stared at the helmet. What is this thing? She moved closer, so close he could feel the heat from her skin. It is power. It is danger. It is desire. Jake coughed. Yeah. I'm getting that last part pretty clearly. She touched his hand, guiding it to place the helmet beside him. Then she whispered, Do you accept the bond, human? I don't even know your name. You will learn it when I scream it. He swallowed. She smiled. You're blushing. I'm trying not to combust. Suddenly, a sound in the distance. Boots. Heavy. Marching. The alien woman stood fast. Her hands flared with light. They found us, they want the helmet. Jay grabbed it. Wait, who's they? She looked back at him, one final, hungry glance. Put it on. If you want to live, and if you want me. And then she vanished into the dark, like smoke, like a promise. He looked at the helmet. Then at the stars. Then back at where she'd been kneeling. What the hell did I just buy? And what exactly happens when a human man wears a weapon that once belonged to alien royalty? Fire, let's ask the audience. If she's bound to serve him, what's the first order he should give her? Smirking face. Drop it in the comments. She says I'm her chosen master, but I still smell like diesel. Jake woke up with a foot on his chest. Not a rough one. A soft, smooth, purple foot attached to a very naked-looking alien goddess. She was crouched over him, eyes glowing in the rising orange light. Hair down, wild, like she'd just stepped out of a dream or maybe into one. He blinked. Okay. Morning hallucination. Love it. Let's just enjoy it before the fever kicks in. She didn't laugh. Instead, she pressed harder, not enough to hurt, just enough to remind him she was real. You slept like a stone, she whispered. I watched every breath, you make such strange noises. Jake groaned, rubbing his eyes. Snoring. It's called snoring. Very powerful human defense system. She tilted her head. Your scent is raw. Dirty. Metallic. She leaned closer and sniffed his collar. I like it. Jake blinked again. That's either creepy or a compliment. I'll take both. She knelt beside him, brushing dirt from his shirt. You are the wielder. The relic responded to you. That makes you mine. He sat up slowly. Okay, let's unpack that. Before he could finish, she was already reaching into his bag. Pulled out the helmet. Held it like a sacred relic or a lover. You still don't know what this is, do you? She asked. Jake shrugged. Far as I know, it's a busted toaster with a god complex. She stared, then smiled like he just told her he'd built a starship from duct tape. You joke, but this artifact chose you. The last man who wore it ruled 5 systems, the one before him burned a galaxy. Cool, Jake muttered. And I used it as a pillar last night. Her eyes narrowed, intense now. No one laughed when you claimed it. They bowed. The outpost guards, the traders, they all saw it glow. You're not just a man anymore. Jake scratched his neck. Yeah, but I still smell like diesel and disappointment. She stood. Smooth. Slow. Every curve kissed by sunlight. Then, with zero warning, she dropped to one knee again. He blinked. You do that a lot. She smiled, eyes on his belt now. I kneel to no man. But you're not just any man, are you? Jake raised a brow. Do I need to pay you another 9 credits for whatever's coming next? Suddenly, a shadow passed overhead. A drone. Black. Silent. Her face turned stone cold. They found us again. Jake stood fast, grabbing the helmet. This thing's got a GPS in it or something. No, she said. It has a soul. And it calls to those who want power. Jake looked around. Buildings in the distance, a few domes, one tower with a faded symbol. Where are we even going? She pointed. To the spire. It's the only place the helmet can be unlocked fully. Jake laughed. Great. We're unlocking space magic now. Totally normal Tuesday. The drone circled lower. She grabbed his arm. Do you trust me? Jake looked at her hand, then her face, then at where her top barely held on. Honestly? I'm not sure if I trust you or want to marry you. She smirked. You'll do both, if we survive. She leaned closer. Her lips brushed his ear. If you want me to carry your weapon, you better start acting like a warrior. Jake's brain paused. You mean the helmet, right? She just winked. Then ran. He followed her, heart pounding, helmet glowing faintly in his hand, wondering what the hell he'd gotten into. And whether bonded meant battle. Or bedtime. Tell me in the comments below, smirking face. Should he wear the helmet now, or make her beg for it? They tried to take her, so I made the helmet hum. The rain came hard, hot, alien rain that hissed against metal and burned on bare skin. Jake stood under a crumbling ledge, helmet in one hand, blade in the other, heartbeat slamming in his ears. She was pressed to his side. Breathing fast. Wet. Furious. Gorgeous. They tracked us through the bloodline code, she whispered. They want to claim the relic for themselves. Jake wiped the water from his eyes. Okay, but what part of I paid 9 credits don't these guys understand? She pulled back, her armor soaked and clinging in places that made concentration difficult. They don't care what you paid. You bonded with it. That makes you dangerous. From the shadows, 3 figures emerged. Tall. Armed. Wrapped in cloaks stitched from Star Beast leather. And behind them, a floating pod, humming like it wanted to explode. The lead one hissed, voice sharp. Hand over the girl, and the wielder dies clean. Jake tilted his head. Wait. I die either way, right? The alien raised his plasma spear. Jake looked at the helmet, still quiet. Still dead. He whispered, any chance you wanna hum again, buddy? Now would be a good time to impress your new owner. The helmet pulsed once. Then twice. Then it purred. Not a machine noise, something deeper. Like a growl in his bones. The alien woman, his alien, stepped back slowly, eyes wide. It's waking, it's choosing you fully. Jake didn't know what that meant. But the moment he slid it on, everything changed. The rain slowed. The air crackled. And suddenly, the 3 assassins looked nervous. Jake stepped forward, and the ground responded, tiny ripples beneath each footstep, like the world knew who he was becoming. The lead attacker swung. Jake blocked without thinking, blade up, twist, elbow to the throat. The second rushed in, Jake ducked low, rolled, came up behind and dropped him with a single punch. The third tried to run. The helmet whispered. No mercy for the unworthy. Jake raised his hand. And lightning shot from his fingers. Real lightning. The assassin collapsed in the mud, screaming, twitching, silent. The pod stopped humming. The girl walked up behind Jake. Soaked. Barely breathing. But smiling like he'd just pulled the stars down for her. You've awakened it, she said. You've truly become the wielder. Jake took off the helmet, steam rising from his shoulders. I don't even know what I did. She stepped closer. You protected me. He laughed, panting. I thought you were supposed to be the warrior. I am, she whispered, pressing her hand to his chest. But you make me want to be something else, too. Jake raised a brow. Like what? Her lips brushed his ear. Yours. Then she leaned back, bit her lip, and added. But first, we have to survive the spire. Jake groaned. Right. No pressure. She grinned. Oh, there will be pressure later. He looked around. 3 bodies. 1 wrecked pod. A helmet that now whispered things he couldn't understand but definitely felt seductive. Tell me something, he said, half smirking. She tilted her head. You sure you're not the dangerous one here? She moved in close, hand sliding down his belt. Not when you wear that helmet, human. When you wear that. I'm all yours. Jake blinked. I should wear it more often, then. You should wear nothing, she whispered. Just the helmet. And then, suddenly, a rumble beneath their feet. The ground cracked. The rock split open behind them. A glowing staircase appeared, spiraling deep underground. The helmet pulsed again. The voice returned. The gate to your power is open. Jake looked at her. She looked at him. They both looked at the glowing hole in the ground like it might swallow more than just their fears. Comment section time, smirking face. If she wants him to wear nothing but the helmet. Should he let her watch him or help him take it off? Fire, drop your answer below. Turns out she's royalty, and I just claimed her throne. The stairs were endless. Carved from glowing stone, humming with power. Jake walked first. Helmet tucked under his arm. His alien companion behind him, silent, tense, way too quiet for someone who usually flirted like it was a weapon. He turned back. "You okay?" She met his eyes. "No one has walked these steps in 1,000 years. Not even me." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Starting to feel like I paid 9 credits for a haunted throne." She stopped. "I didn't tell you everything." Of course she didn't. She stepped closer. The glow made her skin look like polished amethyst. She placed a hand over his heart. "I'm not just bonded to you. I'm royalty." Jake blinked. "Like royalty? She nodded. "I was next in line. Until the council exiled me. Said I was too soft. Too curious about humans." Jake smirked. "Well, congratulations. You brought home the dirtiest, most broke human in the quadrant." She didn't laugh. She knelt instead, again. Always on one knee, always with those golden eyes staring up at him like he was a damn sunrise. This place, the Spire, it tests wielders. If you survive, you don't just control the helmet, you control the royal bloodline. Jake tilted his head. "Let me get this straight, if I pass the test, I don't just own the helmet." "You own me," she whispered. Jake's breath caught. She leaned in. "My throne, my power, my body." Silence. Just the humming stone and the pounding in his chest. She stood slowly, brushing against him like a dare. "Will you pass the trial, human?" she asked. Jake chuckled. "I don't even know what it is." She leaned in, lips close. "If the throne accepts you, it bonds with you. In every way." Jake raised a brow. "Define every way, . She smiled. "You'll feel it. Deep inside." Jake swallowed hard. They reached the chamber. A round room. Floating throne in the center. Shaped like a crown, covered in ancient runes. It pulsed when Jake stepped in. The helmet vibrated in his grip. The throne moved. A whisper echoed around the chamber. "Present the relic. Prove your worth. Claim what kneels before you." Jake turned to her. She had already dropped to both knees this time, arms extended, head bowed. Royalty. Kneeling. He held the helmet high. "I don't even know why this thing picked me," he muttered. The voice answered. "Because you are the only one who never begged for power." The throne surged forward. Light spilled across the floor. The helmet floated from his hand, hovered, and locked into place above the throne. The whole chamber rumbled. She looked up at him now. Eyes burning. "You did it." Jake took a breath. Then the throne cracked open. And a dark, muscular figure stepped out. Jake blinked. "What the hell is that?" She whispered. "My brother. The exile. The one who kept her off the throne. The one who wasn't supposed to survive." He stepped forward, fire in his hands. "You stole my throne," he growled. Jake stepped in front of her. Helmet glowing behind him. "Now." "I didn't steal anything." He cracked his knuckles. "I just paid 9 credits and got a queen." The brother raised his hand. The chamber lit up. And Jake smiled. "Time to see what this throne really does. Now tell me in the comments, smirking face. If she's kneeling for him. Should he let her stay down or invite her up to sit on his lap like a queen? They sent killers, but she sleeps in my bed now." The throne chamber was still smoking. Jake stood over the crumpled body of her brother, one hand bruised, the other glowing with relic light. The helmet now hovered behind him like a guardian. The alien woman, his alien, was still on her knees, watching him like he wasn't just her protector now. But her problem, too. "Is he dead?" Jake asked, breathing heavy. She walked over, slow, hips swaying like she wasn't just royalty, but temptation in motion. "No. He's shamed," she said. That's worse. Jake glanced down. Good. He deserved it. He turned to her. She hadn't looked away from him once. Then, softly, she smiled. You don't just wear the helmet now, she whispered. You command it. Jake chuckled. Right. So I command the relic, the throne, and apparently, you. She stepped close. Yes. Especially me. Her hand slid up his chest. Hot. Hungry. Jake blinked. You sure this is the right time? We're still in a glowing battle chamber. Kinda dramatic. She leaned in. Exactly. Drama is foreplay where I come from. Then she took his hand. No more throne. No more helmet. Just the two of them now, walking through dark royal halls, lit only by pulsing crystals and the quiet sound of her breathing. She opened a chamber door. Big bed. Alien silk sheets. Heat in the air. Jake stepped back. Oh no, this is your bed, isn't it? She pulled him in. Wrong. It's ours now. He turned. Saw his reflection in the polished wall. Scarred. Sweaty. Covered in dried blood. I smell like I fought 3 suns. She pulled his shirt up slowly. And now you'll sleep like you own them. Jake groaned. You're way too good at this seductive war queen thing. She pushed him down on the bed. Knee on his thigh. Hair falling around her like a curtain of silver fire. She whispered in his ear. When I sleep next to my wielder, I don't wear armor. Jake swallowed. Wait, are you sleeping, like real sleep, or is this code for something more? A knock. Hard. Rushed. She stood instantly, eyes sharp again. Jake groaned. You've got the worst timing, universe. Another knock. Louder. She opened the door just a crack. A blood-covered guard stood there, shaking. My queen, they're here. The Shadow Fleet. They know he passed the trial. Jake sat up, rubbing his face. Can't a guy get 5 minutes of being worshipped before the universe throws more assassins at him? She turned to him, serious now. They won't try to capture this time. They'll try to erase. Jake stood. Reached for the helmet. Slid it on slowly. Then turned to her. You said they fear what I've become. She nodded. He grinned. Good. Let's give them a reason to kneel. She stepped into him. Chest to chest. Lips brushing his. If we survive this. He raised an eyebrow. You'll finally let me finish a nap. She smirked. I'll let you finish everything. Jake tightened his grip on the helmet. The corridor outside roared with distant thunder, a warship landing. And in that soft moment, before violence, before blood again. She whispered. If I die tonight, I want your scent on my skin. He didn't answer. He just pulled her close, kissed her once. And walked toward the fire. Comment question for the real warriors, smirking face. If she's already in his bed, should he sleep beside her tonight, or make her earn it first? Fire type your answer below. I command armies, but she's still my favorite view. Jake stood at the center of the war table. Alien generals surrounded him, scarred, horned, armored. They spoke in deep, clicking tones, but they didn't look at each other. They looked at him. The human. The wielder. He had one hand on the relic helmet. The other resting on the edge of a galaxy map that glowed beneath his fingers. And beside him. She Saturday. Crossed legs. Tight ceremonial armor. Smirking like the queen she was. Or like the consort who knew her man just made every man in the room feel small. Jake didn't speak much. He didn't have to. The crown thrummed every time he touched it. The relic whispered strategy. Tactics. Battle plans. Names of planets he'd never heard of, but now commanded fleets above them. The moment he nodded, the room moved. I still don't know half of what I'm doing, he muttered under his breath. She leaned in, her voice a warm breath on his ear. That's what makes you dangerous. He looked at her, long legs crossed, eyes glowing, lips curved in wicked amusement. Jake smirked. And what does that make you? She placed a hand over his, slowly, tracing his fingers. Yours. The alien warlord across the table growled. She is the commander's pleasure, not a warrior. Jake's smile vanished. He looked at the general, then at her. Stand, he said. She rose, slowly. Back straight. Eyes locked on the warlord. Jake nodded at her. Show him. She didn't hesitate. In one smooth motion, she hurled her blade straight into the table, right through the glowing map and into the wood. It quivered inches from the warlord's chest. She stepped close. I've killed more men than you've eaten meals, she whispered. The room fell silent. Jake leaned forward. She fights beside me. Sleeps beside me. And if you look at her like that again, you'll die on your knees like the others. The room shifted. Eyes lowered. Respect. Fear. Power. Later, when the meeting ended and the generals dispersed, she walked quietly beside Jake through the marble corridors of the command ship. He could feel her watching him. You made them obey, she said. He chuckled. I think you helped with that dagger stunt. She pushed him against the wall, suddenly fierce. You made me feel proud to kneel for you. Jake raised a brow. Oh yeah? She traced his chest with her clawed finger. You're becoming more than just a wielder. He leaned in. Still smell like engine grease though. She grinned. That's how I know you're real. They stepped into his chamber. He didn't need to invite her anymore. She dropped the armor piece by piece, slow, deliberate, like it was part of a dance meant only for his eyes. Don't look at me like that, he said softly. Like what? Like you're trying to burn a hole in me. She stepped closer. No. I'm trying to melt into you. Jake pulled her close. Tight. But before lips could meet, before bodies could remember. The emergency siren screamed. A new fleet had arrived. One not loyal to her or him. Jake let out a slow breath. Then kissed her forehead. Rain check. She smiled against his chest. You better survive this. She stepped back, eyes fiery, armor forgotten. Because I'm still not done showing you what a queen does in bed. Jake grabbed the helmet. It pulsed. He looked out the window, enemy ships blotting out the stars. And whispered. Let's go show them what Earth trash can do. Now drop your answer in the comments, smirking face. She's watching him command armies. Should she strip for him again, or surprise him by taking command next time? We took back her planet, now she wears my shirt. The battlefield still smoked. Skies black with ash. Craters burned across the royal city. Towers broken. Flags fallen. And silence, thick like it was holding its breath. Jake stood at the edge of the palace balcony, armor scorched, arms bloody, helmet resting under one arm. And behind him, in nothing but his oversized earth shirt. She stretched like a goddess who just conquered heaven. She hadn't worn her crown yet. Said it didn't feel right. Not until he kissed her on the throne. She padded barefoot across the marble floor, the shirt hanging off one shoulder, her curves barely hidden beneath the thin cotton. Jake didn't look back. You're staring, she teased. I'm thinking, he replied. About what? He turned, eyes tracing her legs. How I fought 5 alien fleets, and still lost to a girl wearing my laundry. She laughed, the kind of laugh that made the stars feel too quiet. You didn't lose, she whispered. You took everything. My enemies. My throne. And? She walked closer, barefoot steps echoing. My heart. Jake raised an eyebrow. That's cute. She raised his chin with one finger. It's dangerous. He grabbed her wrist gently. Everything about you is. She smiled wider, slow, like she knew exactly what he wanted next. Then take what's yours. But before his lips could meet hers, a voice echoed through the relic, through the helmet. Transmission intercepted. Earth vessel inbound. Unmarked. Jake froze. Earth? After all this time, someone from home? She touched his chest. You're not just my king anymore, are you? He didn't answer. He walked back to the throne, the crown still untouched, the relic still glowing. She followed. Sat in his lap. Wrapped her arms around his neck like it was her favorite battlefield. If they've come to take you, she whispered, they'll have to go through me. Jake smiled. They'll try. She kissed his neck. You could run. Hide. Go back to your broken little planet, where girls wear too much and don't kneel when they talk. Jake leaned into her ear. But none of them wore my shirt like you do. She laughed again, soft, dirty, royal. Then she stood, straightened his collar, and placed the crown in his hands. I gave you my world, she said. Jake placed the helmet beside it. And you made me forget mine. The balcony doors opened. A ship landed in the courtyard. Soldiers stepped out. Human. Earthborn. And they were here for him. Jake looked at the throne. At her. At the world he now ruled. And said nothing. Because this wasn't a story about a human who found power. It was about a man who bought a broken helmet. And ended up owning the stars. Final tease for the comments, smirking face. Now that she sleeps in his shirt. Should he go back to Earth, or make her beg to come with him? Drop your ending, below. Fire.